Thank you, Mira. Welcome to the interview segment. Infertility is a major issue faced by women in the society, and one way or the other, it causes harm to the society and the family. But then how do we ease this challenge? How do we ease this issue amongst women? So today I have a fibroid specialist in the house to discuss some of the causes of infertility and also some natural remedies to ease infertility amongst women. And she's Ayorinde Oladunni. So nice to have you here.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. All right, so let's begin with a broader meaning of infertility. Yes, everybody knows infertility is probably when a woman does not have a child and all that, but I'm very sure it's more than that. So as a fibroid specialist now, can you just give us a broader meaning of infertility?
Okay, so with term, we use the word infertility when we have a couple who has not been able to bring forth after 1 year.
After 1 year?
After 1 year.
Okay.
So within the first year of marriage, when they are still trying, we don't call such couples infertile.
Infertile, okay.
Because they haven't tried for 1 year. Until after 1 year, before we begin to tell them, okay, can you go for a certain test for the woman and for the partner, which is the man probably sperm analysis. And for a woman, she has to go through a couple of tests. Okay. So until they can't bring forth after 1 year, that is when we can say, okay, you need to call this condition infertility.
Okay. Now, we've talked about the infertility now. Let's talk about the causes. At least there will be a reason why everybody expects that when you're married, once you have with your husband or your wife, you should get pregnant and all that. So since there is that is not forthcoming, then there should be an issue. So since you're a specialist now, let's talk about some of the causes of infertility in women now.
In women,
yes.
All right. So in this part of the world, African setting.
Okay.
So when a woman has not been able to bring forth after 1 year, or when a couple has not been able to bring forth after 1 year, they think it's only the woman thing. Maybe it's the woman that has issues, but most of the time, the man does too. Okay, so now let's talk about the women. There are several things that can cause infertility. Now, blocked fallopian tube, fibroid, and it depends on the size and the location of the fibroids. For some fibroids, it doesn't cause infertility. You can have a woman can have fibroids and still be able to get pregnant. So we have fibroids, we have blocked fallopian tube, infection, and several other things.
Okay, now talking about fibroid, there is this saying that all women have tendency to have fibroid. Is it true?
Yeah, it's true as long as a woman is in between a childbearing age. That's between the ages of 18 and 50. So as long as you're in between, a woman is within this age range, it's possible to have fibroids.
Now, still on fibroid now, how you said earlier that the fibroid might be outside the womb and all that. If the fibroid is outside the womb, that means there can be fibroid inside the womb. Yes. Which one is more deadly, or which one is more serious now, so to say?
All right. So fibroid itself is not really deadly. It's not deadly. It's not
but then there are so many people that are so scared of
fibroid. I know that when people hear, that they've been diagnosed with fibroid, there's this fear.
Yes, exactly.
Well, we don't need to be scared, okay, when you hear that you've been diagnosed with fibroids, because it's treatable. And there are several ways of treating fibroids. You either go for myomectomy, which is a surgical removal of fibroids, or you go for embolism, or you go herbal. Okay, we usually advise the herbal remedy because the chances of regrowth after myomectomy is about 90%. But if you go herbal, it totally removes fibroids and prevents possible regrowth.
Thank you. All right, that's based on fibroid. Now, you also talked about infections. What type of infection? Because I think there was a time that someone said she was diagnosed of pelvic inflammation disease or something.
Yeah, PID.
Now, is that part of the infection?
Yes.
Is it also so serious like fibroid, which can lead to infertility?
Yes, infection left, you know, a lot of women have, when we talk about infection, people are quick to say, oh, maybe it was sexually transmitted.
Transmitted, okay.
No, you know, one could have yeast infection, bacteria infection, toilet diseases and all, okay? Some that you don't even know that, you know, staphylococcus doesn't have to be sexually transmitted. One can get it through the skin if you're injured, yes. So infections left untreated for a long time, you know, can block the fallopian tube. So, and once the fallopian tube blocks, it prevents fertilized egg from passing through. So that is what, and blocked fallopian tube, we all know, causes infertility.
All right. I think I've learned something about that. But then, while you were talking, I remember one thing too. There's someone that said she experienced the breast milk leakage.
Okay, that's high prolactin. It is called high prolactin.
High prolactin, and
Yes.
she was not pregnant, neither was she breastfed. And the doctor actually said it can also lead to infertility.
Yes. We call it high prolactin. When you have high prolactin, there are certain hormones in a woman. We call one is progesterone, the other one is estrogen.
Okay.
So when you secrete more of one or less of the other, then the hormones become imbalanced. So when a woman begins to express milk or white fluid begins to flow, come out from a woman's breast without lactating. Lactating without breastfeeding. You know, it's called high prolactin. That means the person has high prolactin, and which can cause infertility as well.
Because it sends signal that, okay, this person is breastfeeding. All right, now I think I understand that. Okay, so can you make us understand the connection between sperm and conception? Because there are so many sayings about sperm and conception. Okay, when you finish having whatever with your husband, just lie on the bed. Don't get up and all that. Don't urinate. You can't urinate. You can, if you really want to get pregnant and all that. What's your take on sperm and conception? How much sperm do we need for conception?
All right. Well, I've been there before. I actually waited 7 years before I had my first child. So I read a lot online that, okay, after intercourse, raise your 2 legs up and all of that. Yeah, I've had so many people say, okay, the sperm flows back, semen flows back after intercourse and all that. It is called sperm reflux.
Okay, so that's another condition.
That's another condition on its own, caused by infection.
Okay.
Yes, so it is called sperm reflux, and that's for the woman. The woman may have infection, while the partner may have a watery sperm, low sperm count, or whatever. Okay, so that's another condition on its own. Now we need just one sperm to hit the egg. Just one out of 20 million. Just one to hit the egg. So it doesn't matter how long the legs are raised, the sperm that will go once injection, you know, has happened. So it doesn't matter the reason, or it doesn't work. So that's, as in, I've experienced it. I tried it. It didn't work for 7 years.
Say, no, don't get up. Don't get up when you're done.
No, it's just a myth. It doesn't work. So if a woman is experiencing that a lot, the flow back of sperm or semen after intercourse, then it's called sperm reflux.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about the age of a woman. You mentioned earlier that 18 to 35. Now, let's say, because there are some people that would say, once you are like, you know, in your 20s, that's when you are most fertile, and when you are in your 30s and your late 30s, it's not easy to conceive. How true is this?
Yeah, it's very true, because when you're in your early 20s, you tend to produce more eggs. You know, you get to be, you feel you're more fertile. Let me put it that way. You ovulate regularly. The hormones work well. But when you begin to grow older, you're on certain drugs, stress, you know, lifestyle affects the quality of the egg altogether. So it's more, you know, faster, easier to
To
conceive.
conceive in your
When,
20s.
exactly.
So when you are in your late 30s.
It becomes a little difficult, and even to carry the baby and all. It's stress, and even while, during childbirth, you find out it's easier to have a baby, when they go into labor in the early 20s and about late 30s, because lifestyle, the strength and everything. So,
I think I've learned something there now. Okay, let's talk about, since there are some people that have faced infertility, that fought into infertility rather. You've also experienced it. Let's talk about the IVF. That's in vitro fertilization. There are some people that will say it's so expensive, and some people will say it worked for them. Some will say no, it didn't work for them. How sure is the IVF for someone expecting? Is it 100% so sure like that? When you do it, yeah, you carry your baby?
Well, because it didn't work for me doesn't mean it wouldn't work for another person, or doesn't mean it hasn't worked for some other people. It has actually worked for a lot of people and will still work for a lot of people. I did IUI, I did mixed semen, I did IVF, but none of those things worked for me. The baby still came naturally at the end of the day. So, and what did I do? I just had to, I prayed and I made changes to my lifestyle, my eating, when you go through IVF, IUI and all of that, you get to add a lot of weight because they are passing a lot of things through you, a lot of injections. Clomid is one of them during my IUI, and Clomid is, well, it forces you to ovulate for a longer period of time. Normal ovulation is just 24 to 48 hours, but you can be ovulating for the next 5 days, 1 week, if you're under Clomid. And like I said earlier, that the quality of egg also determines. So if a woman has been on Clomid for a very long time, and because they're actually forcing the release of eggs, so after a while, the woman may not even have eggs anymore. That's the disadvantage of those procedures. Now, for some people, they are lucky, IVF works for them. For some of us, it didn't work for us. So it's a game of chance. They will tell you it's a 50-50%. Exactly. It depends on your egg quality. It depends on the sperm quality as well. It depends on if fertilization occurs or not. So it's 50-50.
All right, 50-50. Now, we've talked about IVF, we've talked about the causes of infertility. Now let's move to some of the solutions that can be preferred to infertility. There are science solutions, and there are, like you said, there are herbal solutions. So, okay, so just briefly tell us some of the solutions you can prefer for herbal and science, both of them.
All right, so we usually attach so much grossity to being, when we talk about being fertile, infertile, and all of that. And I just believe that everyone can be calm and all of that. And the signs are usually there during our early ages, like someone having infection and not taking very good care of it. You're menstruating a woman is menstruating for more than 5 days. Some people 2 weeks, 1 month,
irregular menstruation,
exactly, or in between bleedings, and you're just saying it's one of those things, it will stop. The signs are always there, but we'd never pay attention to our bodies. So first of all, as a woman, you need to do a regular check. When you experience things like back pains during your menses, leg pain, pelvic pain, and all of that, you need to go for ultrasound. Is it an infection? Is it fibroid? What exactly is it? You have missed your period for 2 months. And you're not saying anything, you're happy because you want to be free. That's a sign of PCOS. You need to check it up, because PCOS, some people don't see their periods for 6 months, some 2 years. If you don't see your periods, that means you're not ovulating. If you don't ovulate, you can't get pregnant. It's not possible. Okay, so the signs are always there, and people they just ignore it until they get married. So what's the solution? First of all, go for scans, go for tests, know what is actually happening, and treat it. So for some people, they've been diagnosed with fibroids, 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, and sometimes they tell us, oh, it's insignificant. But what they fail to tell us is that it grows. Fibroid grows in about 40% per volume every 2 months. So it actually grows, and it grows that it becomes a problem. So we need to do regular checkup. If myomectomy has been advised, one should go for myomectomy. So we as herbal practitioners, we usually advise myomectomy sometimes when the fibroid has grown beyond 15 cm. So and the woman is already looking pregnant.
So the herbal mixture cannot work for that
at that point. No, at that point it's too big. So we advise, because the person will have to be placed for a long time on the herbal mixture, which is not advisable. You're going to have too much herbs in your system. So we advise that anything bigger than 15 cm, please go for myomectomy. After myomectomy, then you can come back and start taking your herbal remedy to prevent possible regrowth. Because there's regrowth 90% of times. Fibroid regrows after myomectomy.
I wanted to say that because I've heard of people who go for surgery and then they still have it after, it still comes back.
So that's one of the disadvantages of myomectomy. So and aside regrowth, scar tissues, adhesions, endometriosis. Now, if the fibroid is close to the fallopian tube and it was surgically removed, the possibility of it blocking the fallopian tube, if adhesion tissue or scar tissues develop, is there. So that's why we encourage people, if you have been diagnosed with fibroid, please immediately do something about it. Don't just watch it for it to grow. So then the science part of it, if you can't go herbal, you can go do IUI. Okay, IUI is relatively cheaper than IVF. So you can go for IUI. If it is a low sperm count, they can go for the option of mixed semen. If the sperm count is really, really low. Okay, so there are doctors usually advise on what to do and what not to.
Okay, but then we've talked extensively on fibroid now. For the low sperm counts and PCOS you mentioned earlier, is it possible for herbs to also treat them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have herbs for low sperm count to boost sperm motility, and we've seen results over time, a lot of results. And for PCOS, yes, menstrual cycle returns after a month or two. All you need to do is take the herbs regularly and change your diet as well as your lifestyle.
This is like the second or third time you're talking about changing your lifestyle. Can you talk about what is changing your lifestyle? Is it what the food we eat, or what's that?
The food. Okay, for instance, if you've been diagnosed with fibroids, we advise that you stay away from red meat. Nigerians will love red meat. So we can do snail, we can do seafoods, we can do white meat, turkey, chicken. Red meat is a no. White bread is a no. You can do wheat bread, you know. Oats is fine. You can do amala, eba, fufu is a no. You can, you can do oat swallow.
I'm a cool fit here.
You can do oat swallow. You know, rice is a no. Some people feel when they are eating basmati, they are very rich, you know, they are eating well. No, basmati is richer, is higher in calories. Yes, I used to feel that same way. Eat basmati. I've stopped eating basmati because it's even higher in calorie than the normal regular rice. White rice, yes. So ofada is better. If you can't do without rice, then you do ofada, brown rice, and a small portion with lots of protein. Then fruits and vegetables, cut down on alcohol consumption because it actually causes inflammation. So and stop smoking, you know. So those are
many
the things.
I've learned so many things here now because I'm a culprit. All right, so let's talk about there are so many couples dealing with infertility, which actually leads to some psychological traumas, emotional traumas, and all that. What they face in the society and even family. How can they cope with this even while trying?
All right, because as Africans we attach so much grossity to, oh, they've not had a baby, how long have they been married, and all those kind of things. So as I will advise couple that they stay together, and they first of all, after 1 year they should start testing what exactly the issue is. So if it's something that science has to resolve, okay, so they should go that way. If it is something that's prayers, you have to add prayers to it. At least you have to know what you're praying about. Is it low sperm count you're praying about, or is it blocked fallopian tube, or is it fibroids? They need to know. Now, Men, we know that they have ego and all of that.
Yes.
All we need to do is to, talk to them, bring them down. Please, sweetheart, you need to go for this test, So in my case, I went for all the tests, HSG. There was no test I didn't do, a lot. So, and everything came out fine. So we're actually dealing with the male factor, and we tried a lot of things. We made changes to lifestyle, and boom, the baby came. Even after IUI, IVF, mixed semen, everything failed. And naturally, with lifestyle changes, the babies came.
All right, thank you very much. Now, because of our time, I just wanted to pass a message across, because there are so many people that you will see, people are dealing with this infertility, and then you see someone just come to you and just say, when are you having a baby? You are into having a baby? I just want to pass a message. I want you to pass a message across to this set of people, society and family at large. How can they treat people living with infertility? I
will advise that we should learn to be cautious. We should empathize with people. We should think twice before we talk. Like when I was waiting, in my place of work on a certain day, we're having breakfast and we're all just saying, oh, my daughter did this, my son did this, and all that. So I was just there, and I wanted to be part of the talk. And I said, my nephew, and some of them, you will not understand. Did I understand? But she wasn't. That was the truth. I wouldn't have understood because I never had a baby. And everybody's like, why would you say that? We need to pay attention to people's feelings, and just empathize with them and just don't talk, Some people will come and say, how long have you even been married? That's so wrong. It's very, very wrong. So we should just empathize with people, and we should learn how to talk to people. Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mrs. Oladunni. Thank you very much for being on Daybreak Africa. All right, so you've heard our fibroid specialist. If you have fibroid, it's something that you can use herbal mixtures to also treat. And if you have PCOS, if you have infections, it can be treatable. Just do the right thing, go ask questions, and do the needful. All right, this is where we wrap up the interview segment for today. Over to you, Mira.